This is Ambleside, the bustling Lake District metropolis, with lots to see and do. And this is Troutbeck. It's a peaceful lakeland village full of vernacular architecture and not at all commercialised. Between the two, Wansfell, 1,600 feet at its highest point and boasting extensive views in every direction. The walk from Ambleside to Troutbeck over Wansfell is one of the best in the lakes. It starts by following Skelghyll Beck onto the fellside to the east of the town, via the ever popular Skelghyll Falls. The falls are situated in Skelghyll Park and are of historical importance to Ambleside. I'd tell you all about it, but I've already made a short video about the falls and the park and their place in Ambleside's history. There's a link to it at the end of this video. For today, it's onwards and upwards, so to speak.
Well, although we've just come up a steep bit of road, the real climbing's about to start. And that's the fell we're going up, Wansfell Pike.
It's 1,581 feet high, better known as 482 metres. Navigation on this walk is an absolute doddle. We just go over this well-signed but rather elaborate stile and then follow the path to the top. It really couldn't be simpler.
Right, that first bit's easy. Nice gentle slope. This second bit is a bit steeper, and the third bit is steeper still. So if you're not used to climbing up steep hills, I don't want you to be put off by this. There's a knack to climbing a steep hill.
The thing is that when you climb any steep hill, there's a tendency to focus on the summit ahead. But if you keep looking at how much further you have to go, it can be a bit daunting. But if every now and then you stop and look back, you get a sense of how far you've already come, which makes it seem easier.
There's a gap in the wall here, about 2/3 of the way up. Unfortunately, there's quite a steep bit and a false summit to come. Never mind, onwards and upwards.
And to be honest with you, nowadays I just give thanks that I'm able to do it at all. And I just love the sense of achievement when I get to the top. This isn't the highest point on Wansfell. That honour falls to Baystone, it's about half a mile to the northeast of us. If we were going there, we'd just follow the line of that wall along the ridge. But we're not. I'm going to stop here for a while, enjoy the view, and then head off down towards Troutbeck, along a path that winds its way through a very different style of landscape.
I knew I should have paid more attention during third year geography. Then I'd probably understand a little bit better that this is a glacial landscape. These hollows and dips are caused by a melting glacier. It's a bit sobering to think that this landscape has been like that the best part of the last 13,000 years. I know all this because I've just read a book about it. As I say, I should have paid more attention in third year geography.
I should have also paid more attention to where I was walking. I've just put my left foot into a bog. I've got a muddy trouser bottom.
This path is called Nanny Lane. Although if you look at it, it's a bit wide for a normal lane. There's a very good reason for that. This is actually an old drove road. Drove roads have largely disappeared now, or they're used for something else, but 200 years ago this was a very important part of Britain's economy. Drove roads were used to drive cattle and sheep and geese and all sorts of other stock to market in the cities. There was no other way of getting in there. You had to walk with them, and drove roads were made across the country. They crisscrossed the entire land, heading towards the towns and cities. Drovers were the people that took the animals along the drove roads, and the reality was that they weren't farmers. They were actually people who specifically did that job. Very, very good at it, if you think about it. 150, 200 cattle, maybe there's a couple of blokes, no horses, we're not talking cowboys here. They had to get them 100 miles, 200 miles without losing too much fat. That's one reason why these roads are so wide, because there's grass on the side that the cattle could feed as they went. It wasn't a quick journey. And also they used to have enclosures each side called long acres, and the long acre was to feed the cattle at night. They could be just let into the sides of the drove road and feed up until the morning, and then off on the way again.
Of course, not all drove roads went through scenery like this. The views across the valley and towards the south are absolutely glorious. It's not long before we drop down into Troutbeck. It's a total contrast to the hustle and bustle of Ambleside. It's actually a series of small hamlets linked by the old road up the valley. In times past, each hamlet had its own water supply, in the form of a well dedicated to a saint, in an attempt to ensure that the water was as pure as possible. They also served as horse drinking troughs. You know, there's nothing artificial about the village or its vernacular architecture. Most of the buildings are over 100 years old, some are considerably older. They look out over an unspoilt wooded valley. You know, I reckon that if you took away the trappings of modern life, things like cars, power lines and so on, then this village would probably look much the same as it would have done 100 years ago. In fact, I'd like to linger a little while longer, but I need to head back towards Ambleside. And to do that, we turn right, up the wonderfully idyllic Robin Lane. It's a bit steep at first, but it soon levels out.
And if you're a bit out of path after coming up the slope from Troutbeck, this seat's got the ideal view for you to take a breather. I think it's fair to say this is pretty much my favourite part of this whole walk. You've got nice views of Windermere to the left, cracking view of Wansfell up there. It's a nice wide easy path. It's downhill, and Ambleside is about a mile and a half in that direction. So we're not far off the end. I thoroughly enjoyed it today. It's been a super walk. Weather's not been too bad. It's actually not too bad now. Got a bit of late sunshine, but there's a bit of cloud there. It says might just cloud in, but there you go, that's life. And then I just hope you take this walk, because it really is a nice one.
The last little hill of the day. Then we go through the farmyard and along the track towards Skelghyll Woods. And before we actually go into the woods, we get this fine view down Windermere. And through that gate, and it's downhill all the way. After a short distance, we come to a gap in the wall leading to the Victorian viewing point of Jenkins Crag. This really is a pleasant stroll down through the woods. In fact, I'm doing it at the wrong time of year, really. I should really be doing it in May, because you get absolutely wonderful displays of bluebells in these woods then.
Always nice to finish a walk with a sit down, a nice view, or going back into civilization, such as Ambleside is. Got an apple, the rest will be water. Ambleside's half a mile down there. I think I'll take another half an hour about it. Lovely.